Your mom.
Hello everyone! Welcome back to day 2 of the 30-day manga challenge. Now day 2's topic is what is my favorite manga? And this one is a doozy because it's hard to choose, especially when you have a lot of manga. But in terms of favorite series of manga, I think there are like top tier ones that I'd like to mention, but my number one is still One Piece. So, before I get into One Piece, I'm gonna talk about my other like favorite manga of all time, sort of. And obviously, we have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. What else do we have? We also have Lovely Complex, my favorite shoujo of all time, still. Now, mind you, I haven't read every manga in my collection, so I can't say, I am being completely, like, fair. I can only pick from the series that I've read, but One Piece, I think, is still gonna be one of my top favorites for a very long time, so I think this is when I start talking about this amazing series. I know a lot of people select the people who are not into One Piece and who don't want to get into One Piece are probably sick of people saying that One Piece is good. And you know what? I understand that sentiment. So if you are one of those people, you can just not listen to me and just do what you like to do. And that's completely fine because everyone has their own opinions. Also, I just kind of wanted to touch on a few things about One Piece and what people say. So, a lot of people, including myself, love One Piece because of its incredible depth and complexity. Sorry, I can't speak English in these videos. Really interesting, fun characters, very crazy, but very unique and, I don't know, interesting. Character designs, their backstories, the world is amazingly detailed. So much fun to just go to different islands. So all of these things you can only experience if you get into One Piece. And if you can't get into One Piece, then you won't be able to experience this. And it's not like one of those things where you can just read a whole lot of it and then just not like One Piece. It's because it's such a big commitment. If you've already gone so far, then you would have liked it. Otherwise, you really like wasting your time. So it's kind of hard for me to recommend to people who are just really not interested in getting into One Piece, because I feel like if they're really set on not wanting to get into it, then they won't get into it. And to show them what makes the series so awesome, they have to put some time into it. It takes time to fall in love with this series. And yeah, that's why I kind of find it hard to recommend it to everybody. Those of you who want to get into One Piece, here is my kind of summary of it. The beauty about One Piece is that it's so complex, but the main thing is so simple, okay? It's super simple. This kid is just trying to be number one. That is his goal. But because the kid is the person he is, he goes on adventures and meet certain characters and go on an adventure with them. And this bit where he goes on adventures with other characters is what makes One Piece super complex. The main plot of the story is super simple. You probably think, oh my god, how can this be the least bit interesting? Because it's kind of like the default plotline for most shonen manga. But what really sets One Piece apart is its incredible attention to detail. Its mix of serious and funny. The characters, the worlds, the politics, the economy, all of these things that happen in the background of One Piece really makes this super special. I can't show this to you. You have to take the time to get into it. And if you don't want to, then unfortunately, it's just a world that you won't be a part of. And if that's your choice, then that's all good. But yeah, sorry, I'm just like gushing and freaking out. But it's that good. Well, it's really good for me. I think it's my favorite series ever so far. I've never cried, laughed, like freaked out as much just by reading comics than in this one. And the author keeps pulling really moving, heartwarming, or just heart-wrenching things all the time, and it doesn't feel so forced, like, okay, insert drama here. It just happens naturally. It makes sense in the world. I'm not gonna say it's realistic because that's kind of stupid. It's a manga about fake, like, weird fantasy pirates with rubber, among other things. It's a rubber man, so, you know. But what's realistic is the emotions, the humanness of each character, each villain. Every single character, even the minor ones, feel like they have more to them. They have their own intentions, their own backstories, and these things make them feel super fleshed out. And basically, if you wanted to, you can make a fanfic for every single character in like you can just pair two random characters in One Piece and they can make a really good fan fiction because they're peppered with enough information that you can fill in the gaps yourself, which I can touch on the fanfic and Fujoshism later in another video. But yeah, it's really good. What was I talking about this? Oh yeah, heart-wrenching and heartwarming moments. So this is volume 1 of One Piece, and as you can see, the crew starts off very small. There's only 3 characters on this page. The main character, Luffy, and the other main characters, Zoro and Nami. Now, I think 15 years after the release of this book, he came out with this cover for the time skip, and do you see what he's done here? So this is your journey that you have read, and all the people who have joined your journey as they have joined Luffy, the main character. And I think this is just so cool. I don't know. So you can see there's so many characters now. A lot of people have joined, but it's really cool how Luffy's still in the center here. Zoro's still down here, Nami's still back here, and there's this weird seagull guy, and he's here too. And it's just... I saw this cover, and I had a little freak out, to be honest. It's just small things like these that make, I don't know, it's so rewarding. Like, I spent so many years reading this series and loving this series, and you're looking back at your One Piece journey with just the cover. It's so freaking cool. Yeah, I like this manga series. I feel like I've spent most of this video just saying it's so freaking cool, but yeah, that's why it's my favorite, because it makes me act in such a weird, passionate way than normal. I keep getting excited about One Piece. Sure, it's not perfect. It has its own flaws. It's also very long, which is not a flaw in itself, because the reason why it's long running is because it's good and people like reading it and it's popular. But at the same time, it does put a lot of people off just because of the sheer length. The reason why JoJo is a little bit less hard to swallow is because JoJo is like divided into different parts, and you can read that separately from each other, and they have their own set of main characters, main casts. You have the option to go back and read upon the things that you've missed. It's just, the setup of JoJo really makes it easier to swallow the long series, even though it's one of the longest series ever, whereas One Piece is like one continuous from the beginning, and it just like feeds into each other. So one thread that was left unresolved somehow brings itself back hundreds of chapters later, it just makes so much sense, and it's good. That's why it's hard to recommend. It's like trying to recommend people to start like getting into Heroes of Legend of Galactic Heroes, because that story is also super complex. I haven't even fully gotten into it. I can just look at it and go, that's a lot of homework. Kind of like Tolkien. But, you know, in these fandoms, you can see a lot of people who are really into it. They just delve right in. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those people, but I do think One Piece is pretty special. Nothing quite like it in my entire life of otakuism. So that can be something, like that can be worth something to you. Oh, I also know that a lot of people don't like this art style. I understand as well. It's funny because a lot of fairy tale art fans also hate the One Piece art style, but I thought they were quite similar. The author for Fairy Tail actually took inspiration from One Piece, so that's why their art styles are a little bit similar. Not that it's a bad thing, I just think it's pretty cool actually, because not a lot of manga look like this. And for you art nerds out there, One Piece hardly uses any screen tones. There's a lot of line work and ink work, so that's nice. But you can kind of tell that after, you know, all the years of service in the manga world, the author Eiichiro Oda has basically an army of assistants. So his backgrounds, his effects are super elaborate compared to what it used to be in Volume 1. Let me see if I can like show you. He's a great artist, by the way. I'm not trying to diss him at all. Actually, he's really, really talented, but just the sheer amount of detail in a page. This is a random page, but yeah. It's just got so much visual information, and I know it's a little bit overwhelming actually, and sometimes I find it a little harder to read. I wish there was a little more space to breathe, but it's just fun to pick out like little details, because there's these, I forgot, I think it's in one of the later arcs called Zo, the elephant. There's this conversation that Luffy's having with the minks, the anthro furry characters, and he gets really angry, and he just like starts like talking angrily, just like, oh my god, what? But like, he threw his fist down like this, and he was riding a crocodile, and the crocodile looked kind of pissed off in the one panel. It's such a minor detail, but it just shows Luffy hitting the head of the crocodile as he's like getting really involved in this conversation. And then a few panels later, you can just see, because Luffy's still worked up, he's like hitting the alligator, and the alligator's just like so pissed off. It's such a small detail, but I like picking those out. It adds like different layers to the story, because, you know, people can just talk straight on like this and go, you talk, I talk, and that could be that. But, you know, we could always be doing other things with our bodies that add to the language, which is why I think face-to-face communication is way better than just like texting. But same, like One Piece does that, and I think it's quite incredible. An anime that I'm watching recently called Days also has this kind of weird small pockets of time of just random details that is just so cool. And yeah, I can't recall any other manga that does communication and interactions the way these characters do in One Piece. So that just adds to it. Anyway, I've been blabbering on. This is probably the longest video for just one topic of the day's challenge. But I hope you found it interesting, and maybe my weird enthusiasm inspires you to try and pick it up. I know it's hard. It took me about 6 months before I really started getting into One Piece. The only reason why I got through 6 months, to be honest, was because it was during exams and I didn't want to study, and I would rather do anything else than study when the Nami arc happened, so when she goes back to her hometown, when that happened, I just devoted my life to this manga. Up to that point, I'm just like, yeah, this is pretty interesting. Oh, this guy is pretty cool. But after that Nami story arc, I just died, and I'm like, this is... So yeah, I died basically. Anyway, thank you for watching today's video. I'm just really tired, but I'm committed to this challenge thing, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Bye guys.